Hello again and welcome to another episode of I Want to Talk About This Album. And today, a couple of things. One, this album really sucks. It's really bad. Two, I still, if you've been paying attention at the end of April, which was last month, I had a really bad throat problem. I lost my voice for several days. I couldn't work, I couldn't speak, I couldn't really do anything. And that kind of went on for almost a month. I never did fully recover from that. I got to about maybe 96% recovered from that. Never fully recovered. And then this past Monday, if you're cross-watching the different topics that I cover on this channel, I go hiking every Monday, sometimes swimming. And I went swimming this Monday, and it was very hot. It was 41 degrees Celsius outside where I was swimming. The temperature of the water, I don't know what it was, but it's quite cold. And we swam and snorkeled for about 1.5 kilometers down the river. Then, in this kind of cold water, got out of the river, walked back in 41 degree temperature, got back in the river, snorkeled again downriver for about 1.5 kilometers, got out, walked back. So I think between that mix of hot and hot temperature and cold water, and also I think the snorkeling, because it's not just very hot, very dry, very low humidity. When you're breathing through the snorkel, you're kind of sucking the air directly into your throat. And I think as a combination of all those things, I'm now worse than I was, I think, a month ago. I'm recovering quicker from this. I didn't lose my voice completely, but I am a little snorty. My sinuses, or I feel like I'm congested all up here. My voice, I don't know if you can hear it, those that pay attention, but I feel definitely my voice is not what it should be. So I might have to cough in this video, I guess is what I'm saying. And when I say this video, I'm talking about Kiss, Hot in the Shade. And there it is, and I'll talk about this. And as I said, this is a bad album. Going back to my Kiss album rankings, actually I think even before that, let me get to a point that I wanted to make, and I'll do it now before I forget. Some of you may have met my special lady friend from Turkey, Burcu. She was here visiting in February. And we went to the river, Agua Salada. We went swimming, and so anyway, a little insight. This has to do with her. A little bit of insight into the production of these videos that you're watching here. Almost, I would even say, I feel like it's 100% of the time before I do these videos. I spend some time talking to Burcu, and I tell her what video I'm going to do. She doesn't care, but I think she kind of puts up with it. She tolerates it. She humors me. And so I show her the record that I'm going to talk about, and I show her the song titles, and she reads them, and she rolls her eyes at anything to do with hell, Satan, death, skulls, cemeteries, cremation, graves, anything like that. She rolls her eyes, and I kind of roll my eyes at her rolling her eyes. And some like Bon Jovi, Slippery When Wet, which I did a few weeks ago, pretty vanilla, not much to roll your eyes about with that. And so I was talking to her a short time ago, and read her the album titles, or she read the album titles, and I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit here, but so when she got to track 4 of side B, which would be track 12 overall. It's called You Love Me to Hate You, and I'll talk about You Love Me to Hate You when I get to this. She said, after hearing the other 13 song titles, she said something like, these song titles sounds like they were written by teenagers. That's what she said. When I said there's a song called You Love Me to Hate You, she said, was this written by a teenager? A lot of these songs sounds like song titles sound like they were written by teenagers. And my point being that if somebody from Turkey who has no idea about this music and is can identify something like that, I think that's a good sign that yes, this album does suck. Probably not just in Burju's opinion, but in my opinion as well. It's really bad. Now, going back to what I was going to say, I realize I'm all over the place already. When I did my official, now remember, I did the official Kiss ranking video. A lot of people have done their opinion on Kiss album rankings. Mine was official. It's the only one that really counts. And when I've been doing all these Kiss albums individually, I've gone back and said, where I ranked them. So here it is. I had ranked Hot in the Shade number 19 out of 24. The ones that I'd put below it were so Hot in the Shade was 19 out of 24. Monster was 20. Crazy Nights 21. Psycho Circus 22. Music from the Elder 23. And Peter Criss 1978 album. The worst album in the history of recorded music was number 24. So Hot in the Shade was number 19. I did these all based on just kind of in some cases, my memory, because I hadn't listened to some of these for quite a long time. But listening to this album, I listened to it the other day, and as I normally do, I just listened to it again now, just to kind of, refresh myself. This could have been even lower than 19. I would maybe even put now, switch Hot in the Shade with Monster. I'd maybe put Monster one notch above Hot in the Shade, just based on expectations. When this Hot in the Shade came out in 1989, I was still a really big Kiss fan, and despite the fact that Crazy Nights was a horrible album, the one that came before Hot in the Shade, at least with Monster, I didn't really have any expectations. So, it's hard to be disappointed. Yeah, and at least Monster was a rock record. Maybe it wasn't necessarily good, but at least it was rock. But Hot in the Shade, maybe at the time I ranked this a little bit higher for some reasons which I'll get to. But listening to this album twice in recent days, this album sucks. I never really liked it at the time. I liked it well enough, but I never fully embraced it. But listening to it again now, yeah, I know why. There are so many songs on this that were largely unfamiliar to me. I'm all about the lyrics, and I memorized the lyrics for so many songs and so many albums. And when I listened to this recently, I knew the song titles. I think I said the same thing about Crazy Nights, and I could maybe kind of hear the melody of the choruses or something, but couldn't quite get it. And I know why, because these songs are largely forgettable. And I'll do a little spoiler alert before I get to the track by track. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, Gene's songs on this album suck. Every single song. He has 7 or 8 songs on this, I guess 6 or 7, and they all suck. There's not one song that I even like. There's maybe a couple that are just like not as bad as some of the others, but Gene's songs on this album are just atrocious. Paul's are, some of them are not so good, but at least they're catchy. Gene's are just very, very generic. I feel like a lot of them were just kind of ideas that he had, and then he just kind of, put them on the record, didn't really put any thought into it or, finish them off or anything. And also I think Gene's vocals on this album, it's not that his voice was bad, but by the time this album came out, and I guess Crazy Nights too, the aspect, man, Gene was a great singer in the 70s, and even up to Lick It Up. Lick It Up, I think, has some of Gene's greatest vocals. He was really, really singing on Lick It Up. He really had a lot of fire and was singing aggressively. And it's not just that, because he wasn't really singing aggressively on Asylum, and Secretly Cruel is my favorite song on Asylum. But just this album, his Gene songs on this album, he just sings kind of, he doesn't sing like his demon voice. Not that he needs to, and not that he always sang it on the classic songs, but Gene had that Gene touch to his vocals. And on his 1978 album, maybe he didn't sound like the demon Gene on a lot of songs, but he still sang, I think, some of my favorite Gene vocals are on his 1978 album, which, as I've said, is maybe my number one Kiss album out of all of them, potentially. But on this album, he just kind of sings and kind of, he doesn't, seems like he doesn't really put much into it. They just seem, as I said, kind of like unfinished songs. Yeah. Anyway, so another reason why this album sucks, it's way too long. It's 15 songs. Kiss albums were, in the great albums were 10 songs. Maybe, I don't know if any of them had 11 songs. I think Creatures of the Night had 9. Although I don't really like Creatures of the Night that much. 15 is just way too much. And I guess the album is around, I think it's right around close to an hour. When I was sitting outside, I've talked about this before. I always kind of, note the time when I start listening to it just to plan my day, because I do have to do other things after these videos. And this album was right around an hour long, which is just far, far too long. The great Kiss albums are 31 to maybe 35 minutes, somewhere around there. And of course, it's all about the songs. If the songs are not good, it doesn't really matter. But this has a combination of bad songs and too many of them. I feel like they just had all these, and this kind of makes sense, when Gene's, and I realize that I'm kind of going in circles and I'm, all over the place. But when Gene's Vault box set came out in 2015 or 16, 17, I think it was when it came out, and there were so many demos on there, and I feel like he just had so many songs. And they maybe exercised restraint in the past to not put them on, and on this they just said, yeah, let's just put them all on here. So that's what I think about Hot in the Shade. Now, also the reason I maybe had this a little bit higher, and I do kind of tie it together, the tour for this album was amazing. It was for sure the best 80s Kiss tour. I'd seen them prior on Crazy Nights tour, which sucked. And Asylum, which was okay, but this one, when they did the Hot in the Shade tour, I saw it twice. I saw it the first time in June 1990, and then just in Toronto, then just again a few months later in October 1990 in Hamilton, a little bit down the road from Toronto. And both shows, especially the June show, the first one, man, they finally, I guess, kind of went back and embraced their past. First of all, they played longer. I think they were playing maybe around 20 songs on this tour. On previous tours, maybe they were playing 15 or 16. So they played more songs on this tour. And they went back into the past on this tour. They opened with I Stole Your Lunch, which they, I think, hadn't done since the 70s. What else did they do? Not Making Love. I Want You, Calling Dr. Love, Do Strutter, which I think they hadn't done. Strutter also, I think they hadn't done that for a long time. So it was great to hear those songs again. So I do, associate those two shows or that tour with this album, which maybe brings it up. But speaking of just the album by itself, again, I'm going to tell you how much it sucks. And that June tour, June show, June whatever it was, in 1990 in Toronto, that was a little bit of I think a little bit of a legendary show in Kiss world. That was I think just a one-off show. It was Faster Pussycat, Slaughter, Kiss, and Whitesnake. Whitesnake was headlining over at Kiss. This was at the C&E Grandstand on a beautiful, I think it was a Friday, a beautiful afternoon or evening, and Whitesnake was headlining over at Kiss. It Whitesnake in 1987 had that big album with Crying in the Rain and Here I Go Again. And then a couple years later in 89 or 90, it was a self-titled album, and it didn't really go anywhere. And not even for me as a Kiss fan, but just realistic, I thought, why is Whitesnake headlining over Kiss? And Paul Stanley was on Much Music earlier that day, kind of not really, I can't remember exactly, and I haven't seen that interview for, God, probably since it aired at the time. He was kind of angry, and he was kind of shit-talking Whitesnake and maybe David Coverdale. I think he was a little bit angry that Kiss was playing below Whitesnake, and probably rightfully so. And they played that night, and they just had fire like I've never seen Kiss before. I think they felt like they had something to prove. And this is maybe the only show, maybe I've seen one other one, where, a lot of people like to say the opener blew the headliner away, which is bullshit, because I think in a lot of cases it's just people saying, I personally liked the opener better than the headliner. But I mean, to say that the opener blew the headliner away should indicate that the general opinion of the crowd, that the crowd was just way more into the opener than the headliner. And this show, so many people left after Kiss, including me. I watched 2 or 3, maybe 4 Whitesnake songs, and then I left. Yeah, maybe even 1 or 2. I can't remember. And I met Paul Stanley outside after this show. And yeah, a lot of people left after Kiss. And I think even now, a friend of mine, posted something about that recently. I think it was something was posted about this show on a Kiss social media page, and one of my friends had gone, and he kind of said the same thing. I remember, that really is true how it was. So if anybody says that Kiss blew Whitesnake away, that's not just Kiss fans, it's true. A lot of people left after Kiss played. Yeah. So there it is. And well, it's not there it is. I'm not finished. I guarantee anything, Mike Pratt loves this album. Isn't that right, Mike? And I don't understand. I don't love Creatures of the Night. I think it's a maybe even below average album, somewhere average. But I can understand that people would like it. So it's not just like my opinion counts for everybody's. I really don't know how anybody can like this album unless this was your first introduction to Kiss. Strange place to start, but there's really nothing to like about this album, although it is better than Crazy Nights. I was going to just say something else. Now going back to Gene's songs, when I listened to this the other day, the whatever song it was, I don't know, Prisoner of Love or Love's a Slap in the Face, whatever Gene song it was, I don't think there's one Gene song, and I'm really lambasting Gene. There's not one Gene song on this album that anybody, maybe you like this album, maybe you love this album, there's not one Gene song on this album that anybody can say, how can I explain this? I can't imagine there's anybody who's saying, this is my favorite Kiss song, or this is my favorite song on this album. I can maybe see if some people like some of the Gene songs, but there's nothing, and I think this is, you reach a point where it goes beyond opinion. It becomes a fact that there can't be, it's impossible for there to be one Gene song on this album that anybody could love and say, oh, I get so excited when I hear this song. They all suck. Every single one of them for me sucks. And I'm about to nitpick a little bit as I go through it. And I guess it's going to take a long time because, as I said, there are 15 songs. Now, the saving grace for this copy that I have is I got it at El Chopo, last year. And it does have the Spanish, the literally translated song titles, which I'll go through those first. I always get a little kick out of that before I get to the track by track. So the first song is Rise to It, which is Levántate a esto. Next is Betrayed, which is Traicionado. Hide Your Heart is Esconde tu Corazón. Prisoner of Love is Prisionero del Amor. Read My Body is Leí mi Cuerpo. Love's a Slap in the Face. El Amor es una cachetada. I didn't know that word, slap. I guess that's cachetar, I guess is the verb. El Amor es una cachetada is Love's a Slap in the Face. Forever is Por Siempre, obviously. And Silver Spoon, again, literally translated is Cuchara de Plata. And then side B, Cadillac Dreams is Sueños de Cadillac. King of Hearts, Rey de Corazones. The Street Giveth and the Street Taketh Away. They have the giveth and the taketh, kind of Shakespeare-y. And it translates to, they don't really translate well to Spanish, at least to Shakespeare. It's very simple. The Street Giveth and the Street Taketh Away in English is very short. In Spanish, it's just La calle da y quita. That's it. You Love Me to Hate You is Tu amas que te odie. Somewhere Between Heaven and Hell. Oh, this is a long one. This is En algún lugar entre el cielo y el infierno. Little Caesar is Pequeño Cesar. And Boomerang is Boomerang. So I like that. That's for me the best part of this album is these Spanish song titles. And this crappy version I have, it's just got the dreaded opaque plastic sleeve. Nothing. The actual album, when I had this in 1989, it did have, I'm sure it had liner notes and lyrics and everything, but this has nothing. So getting through it track by track, the first one is Rise to It. I do like the song. Maybe even, I can't say that I love it. I was going to say to some extent I really like it. I have good memories of the song because if you know the video, Gene and Paul were putting on the makeup in the beginning of the video, talking about, it was supposed to be them in the 70s talking about the future, and they were saying, what would it be like if we took the makeup off? And Gene Paul is saying, what would it be like if we took the makeup off? And Gene is saying, you're crazy. And I just thought it was very cool seeing Kiss in makeup again in 1989 after having not seen the makeup since 1982. It was only 7 years at that point. It seemed like a long, long time. But yeah, so that was a cool video. And I do like the song, especially the, I guess it's the bridge. Get up, lights, camera, action. Get up, lights, camera, action. It's getting time for the show. Tonight, you're the main attraction. And if you want a lover who can play the other role, I'm gonna, boom, boom, boom. I'm gonna rise to it. I like that song. It's good. It doesn't get much better. Actually, it gets a lot worse from there. Next is Betrayed. This is a Gene song. You pay your taxes, you pay the rent until you haven't got a cent. It sucks. This song is it's a zero song. Hide Your Heart. Never liked this song. This is a total ripoff. This is Kiss trying to be Bon Jovi. Total ripoff of Living on a Prayer lyrically, and I think just the overall tone of the song. Bon Jovi had Tommy and Gina. Paul Stanley had Johnny and Rosa. I never liked this song. It was too, I don't know, just too poppy. And Bon Jovi is Bon Jovi, and I think they have some great albums, at least two really, really great albums. But I don't want to hear Kiss being like, I want to hear Bon Jovi being like Bon Jovi. I don't want to hear Kiss being like Bon Jovi. And that's another thing I think about this album overall. They don't like the guitars on this album sucks. The guitars on this album, the guitar sound on this album, it's really, really bad thin. It's not as glossy and shiny as on Crazy Nights, but the guitars are just really weak sounding on this album. Next is Prisoner of Love. I'm a prisoner of love and I can't break these chains, I think is the chorus, and it's another Gene song. It's just so boring and there's nothing to it. It's not particularly catchy. It's not good. There's nothing that stands out about it. There's no riff to it. There's no cool parts. So it's just a very, very plain song. Next is Read My Body. I feel bad about saying this. I used to love Read My Body. I still do like it. I think it's maybe not considered a great song in Kiss circles. I'm not sure. I think it's pretty good, despite the fact that it is also a complete ripoff of, I guess, Pour Some Sugar on Me, and I think even more, again with Bon Jovi, Lay Your Hands on Me. The hey, lay your hand. How does Lay Your Hands on Me go? I don't know, but the big chorus is hey, and the introduction, hey, and then in this one also, do you want to know what I'm thinking about? Do I want to make you scream and shout? Hey! Very, very derivative song, and it's not a good song. It's maybe like a guilty pleasure. All Night was like that too. I know All Night is a really stupid song, but I can't help but like it, and I feel kind of the same way about Read My Body. Extra, extra, read all about it. Oh, it's cringy, it's horrible, but I like it. I don't know. Next is, oh God, these song titles. Burju was right. These are horrible. Love's a slap in the face. Sometimes love is like a slap in the face. I can't even remember the rest of the chorus. Another horrible Gene song. Maybe this is Gene's worst album for me overall. What else was really bad? Animalize had Burn Bitch Burn, which I like that, I think, better than most people. And I know I'm getting off track here. While the City Sleeps is No Great Shakes. Lonely is the Hunter. Is Nothing to Write Home About. I'm trying to find the cliches to talk. And what was the other Gene song? Murder in High Heels. Yeah, none of those are very good. I'd say this is the worst, though, just because there are more of them. Next is Forever. I like Forever. I think Forever is a very good song. I love the guitar solo. My favorite, I don't have a ranking of favorite Bruce Kulick guitar solos, but Forever is for sure my favorite. I think that's an excellent song. Way better than Reason to Live, and I'm only comparing it because they're both ballads from back-to-back albums. And I think Reason to Live was kind of sappy and I just didn't think it was that great, but Forever, I think, was excellent song. Next is Silver Spoon, Cuchara de Plata. I wasn't born with a silver spoon. Whoa, whoa, whoa. A little bit of, again, kind of a Bon Jovi vibe to that song. And it's okay. It's catchy at least. I don't know if it's great, but it's okay. Whoa, whoa. How does that one go? Can't remember. Anyway. And then the second side, Cadillac Dreams. When I was 17, found out just what I mean, something else, something like that. It's not very good. And speaking of, I forgot, going back to Rise to It, they had that, again, how much Kiss derived this album from other bands. The intro was that bluesy slide guitar intro, which was very reminiscent of Cinder. Hey, there's a guy walking past my house with golf clubs. He's carrying a golf bag and he's got golf clubs. I've never seen one person in 18 years here ever carrying golf clubs, especially in front of my house. Yeah, there's no golf courses around here. Anyway, yeah, golfer. There's a tennis club about 500 meters up the street from me. I don't know. Sorry about that. Yeah, Cadillac Dreams sucks. King of Hearts. Paul, how does this one go? Can't even remember that one. Mike Pratt is screaming at his device now because he knows what the lyrics to King of Hearts are. But I can't remember. I remember it's okay. It's not great, but it's better than a Gene song. Next is another Gene stinker. The street giveth, and the street taketh away. And how does this one go? I remember the chorus. And the street giveth, and the street taketh away. That song sucks. Next is You Love Me to Hate You. This is a classic Paul on this album. The songs are catchy, but I don't particularly like them. Girl, you want me to cry, feel like I'm gonna die. I'm on my hands and knees, and baby, if you please, and girl, you love me to hate, yeah, you love me to hate you. Yeah, it's so-so. Another horrible Gene song here, and the song titles are really long too. Somewhere Between Heaven and Hell. Somewhere between heaven and hell. That's all I can remember. Two more, thankfully. Now one song here that I do like, possibly, I don't know if it's my favorite. Little Caesar, and Eric Carr sings this, the only song he ever sang with Kiss. I think this is quite a good song. Maybe only, if this had been on, an album that I loved, maybe I wouldn't have liked it that much. Maybe, do you know what I mean? Maybe I only like it this much because it's surrounded by crap. And so it stands out a little bit more. But I do like Little Caesar. And I think Eric really, really, really sounds like Gene. If you didn't know that this was Kiss or that it was Eric Carr and you heard this song, you'd say, oh, is this a Kiss song that I've never heard before? But yeah, Little Caesar is pretty good. And then the last song is Boomerang. This might be the worst song. I don't know if it's the worst Kiss song. How could I qualify this? The worst Kiss song of the non-original lineup? Worst Kiss song of the 80s? Worst song on this album? I don't know. But it just sucked. Such a stupid song. Very similar to No 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 on Crazy Nights. This was Kiss trying to be speed metal, that's just really, really fast and kind of fast and furious and maybe a little bit metallic. And I'm sure there are Kiss fans who love that and thought, oh yeah, I love it. What a heavy song. This should have been on Creature of the Night or something like that. This song sucks. It's horrible. It's probably, as I said, one of the worst songs Kiss has ever done. Boomerang sucks. They should throw that one away like a boomerang and hope that it doesn't come back. That it should stay away wherever it lands. So there it is. Yeah, Kiss hot in the shit. I've got, I'm really winding down with Kiss. I've only got two Kiss records left. I don't know when I'll get to them. If you've been paying attention, you can put it together and you can figure out which ones I'm missing, and you can look forward to seeing those in future episodes. But until then, for this really, really bad album, this is by Kiss, and it's called Hot in the Shade.